led you into the top four. Do you feel like that's a sort of fair representation of where you guys are at as a team?
Yeah, it probably speaks for our consistency this year. I think it's definitely an improvement where we were last year in terms of that consistency in play, and I think every game we've played in so far we've had an opportunity to win the game, and strong half on the weekend, a little bit of a slow start and some of the conditions we didn't play too well, but for the most part of the year and on the weekend as well, played some really strong footy.
How do you review a game like that, where there are those moments or those halves where probably it's not as clean as you'd like it to be, but you still have a big win?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of the growth of the group. We went in at half-time a little bit frustrated and we're still up by 4 goals, and we understood that some of that came off some of our own decisions and skill execution, and we knew that if we actually just simplified it a little bit and gave our big boys up the ground. Riley was on fire in the first half, and once we sort of did that and won a bit more of the ball around the contest as well, they actually had some really good pressure for the first half. So after that, though, we sort of broke the game open a little bit and had a really strong second half.
Another game where the defence was able to stand up, even though I guess it was 50, inside 50s coming in. It was like there's been a bit of a shift there over the last 6 weeks. I think in number 1 points against. Has there been any structural changes?
No, not too much in terms of structure. I think it was it's more so just first of all, our mids have made it a little bit easier on our backs with the pressure around the ball. Once the ball is not coming in as quick, then it makes it a little bit easier for us as defenders to be able to halve those contests. And I think it's a big credit to some of the guys down there that we've got. Josh Rolls playing great footy, Mark Keane, Jordan Butts, these guys, the big aerial guys that are killing those balls in that kind of play, makes it a little bit easier for us guys on the ground as well.
It's been a long time since you started the season this well. What's it just like walking in with the environment like this at the moment?
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because with how young and exciting these young fellas are, not much has actually changed. They just love footy, they love the club. It always seems to be a lot of energy, and I remember when, I guess I still am like that, but they're just on another level compared to some of us old boys. But they do love it, and it's also obviously winning contributes to that. It's a little bit different as to what it was last year, where I spoke about that consistency and actually winning games, and I think you've seen a bit of growth both on and off field from some of these young guys.
One of those young guys, I imagine, is Josh Rochelle. Obviously, a standout performance on the weekend, but how much have you seen him grow in the pipeline?
Yeah. Oh, he's been amazing all year. It was unfortunate that he got that rib injury when he was, really flying. But once he sort of came back in as well, he's just straight back into the same role that he had. He's doing things you probably don't see on the TV as much. Like obviously you see his goals and the flair, and his skill really stands out. But stuff that he's doing around stoppage when he goes up there, things behind the ball that people might not see. He's doing a lot of team things, and he gets reward for that. That's what you do, that stuff, and he ends up kicking 5. So it's sort of working both ways for Josh, and he's playing some great footy for us.
How about maturity-wise? The last time you went to go play semi at the SCG, everything was kind of around Josh getting dropped for that stuff. I mean, I think you had some words about him on the radio, in your radio appearance. How have you seen his maturity level kind of rise since taking that step back and moving on from there?
Yeah, I think on top of sort of just what I said, I think the way he's playing his role for the team at the moment is, nearly the best that we've got at the moment, and the reward for that is he ends up kicking goals off the stuff that he's doing that people might not see on TV. So I know he's super excited for this week, and he's in some ripping form, so I wouldn't like to be playing him at the moment.
Was it a bit of maybe a wake-up or tough love that he kind of needed? Just those just kind of very well to him.
Oh, I think we sort of touched on it last year a lot. I think Josh understands where he is now and what's working for him, and that's why he's playing such good footy. So I'm not going to go back and touch on what we already have, but I think the steps he's made, both on and off the field, and enjoying his footy, I think that's why he's playing so well.
Are you one of these older boys that Nixie might tap on the shoulder and give you a rest when you don't want it?
I'm getting old, Josh. At some point I think maybe I might, just depending on sort of how I'm pulling up, and it's interesting playing down at half-back now compared to playing inside mid. It's definitely a little bit less combative and more running and sort of sore through the legs instead of the upper body. So at some point potentially, yeah, it could be. It's just a matter of week by week with me and sort of how I pull up. But we have done it in the past, and I've spoke to Tex about it, and he just reckons at times it just helps him reset in his body, and it keeps him going for the whole year. So hopefully we play a bit longer into the year this year.
A lot of talk about Tex playing 300. Is your move down back, is that maybe something that might give you an extra year in your career rather than if you've been
bash and crash. Yeah, potentially. Like, I think there's a whole heap of things that can go into it. Obviously, you need to be able to perform and perform at a level in the AFL, and how the team's going, how you're going within that team. And as I said, I definitely have felt the difference in terms of recovery processes after the game, in terms of playing halfback. And there is games where you're not in as many contests as you are, obviously, playing inside mid, but there's some games that are harder than others. But at the same time, the game is very quick, and I'm getting slower rather than quicker, so it's something we might have to look at.
Does Tex have 288 crosses in his locker, that is he ticking them all up?
He's close. He's close. Yeah, it's obviously a massive milestone. If it happens, it happens. I know he's gunning for it, but at the same time, he understands the team and what sort of the team needs, and his body as well. I think he's been doing it for 3 or 4 years now, where he sort of not picks and chooses, but understands when to take a bit of foot off the pedal.
When do you do anything different? I just going to Sydney this week, trying to get the win on the road.
Not too different, mate. We try and keep it as sort of routine based as we do over here. We try not to make it too different, and obviously when you're in a hotel it's a little bit different, and there's different training venues and the travel component, but I think this year we've played some strong footy, especially at the G. The Gold Coast game was a super close game as well, so I think the consistency changes in that. It's probably a little bit different from the past couple of years, where we play one really good game away and then we fall off in a couple of others. So I think it's been a lot better this year.
So do you reckon that this year of having a bit of a narrow focus, but it's a pretty strong test of your credentials next 3 games, Swans, Brisbane, Hawks. Yep. Do you look at it as a little bit of a block heading into the bye that doesn't set up the season?
Yeah, I think it's a good way to put it. You obviously don't want to look too far ahead, but we haven't had the bye yet. There's some teams that are in some really strong form that we've got to go play against, and we've got 3 huge tests that can really shape the season. I think we're in a good position, but at the same time you sort of see a mix of the results happening around the league from pretty much 1st to 14th are all really, really even, and you see teams winning each week that you probably don't expect to win. So 6-day break, it's a pretty quick turnaround straight into Sydney, so we'll go from there, and we'll look at the other 2 teams when we get to them.
Last 2 guys. Swans. Sorry, I'll change the question then. Last 2.
It's going to be a shit one.
Up at the SCG this year, you've seen a lot of players slipping over. I don't know if you've watched their games, but is that something that factors in? Will you chat about that? You talk about the stuff you talk about when you go on the road, because that has caused teams issues up there this year.
Yeah, I personally haven't seen it, but I know that when we do travel to different grounds, we do speak a lot about dimensions of the ground, how the ground's looking. The captain's run's a big thing as well. You go out there and actually get a feel for it. That's why we try and, when we play away from the MCG, even though we got there on there the other week, which was amazing, but when we do travel away to these other states, we try and get on there and get a feel for it, test some boots out, test your runners out, just to see what it feels like. So it's pretty actually a crucial part of our routine and prep.
Did you always believe these glory days, not that you're quite at the pinnacle yet, but we're coming back? You had some lean years.
Yeah.
Did you always believe in the group and that you'd get a crack at playing finals?
Yeah, I think when I signed how many years ago it was, that at some point it would turn, and it does take a while, and we've had a really young group, and I think now you're seeing, when you look at a build like we have, a lot of these guys are at 50, 60 games now, and that's when they sort of get somewhat comfortable at the level, and they understand the pace of it and how it works, and it's exciting. We also bring in some really crucial guys that are in that 25 to 28-year-old bracket, and that sort of helps bridge from the high draft picks at 18 to 21 to the old boys like Tex and I. So it is exciting, but at the same time, as I just touched on before, you can't get too far ahead at the moment. It is a cliche, but you see how even the competition is, and especially the top 8.